on the state of play in the negotiations between the EU and US on trade. We have interpretation in English, French and German. Mr. Lange will give a statement first, after which we can take questions from the room and remotely. Mr. Lange, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and good morning from my side as well. Indeed, the European Union is still affected by illegal and unjustified tariffs from the United States. At the moment, we have 50% on steel and aluminum, derivative products like fitness devices as well, 25% on cars and car parts, and 10% baseline, around about 70% of our products. And there are still an investigation based on Trade Act 232 on 7 products, like semiconductors, like pharmaceuticals, like trucks going on. So we expect quite soon also additional tariffs on these products. And President Trump announced yesterday that on copper there will be tariffs on for 50% coming in a few days. So this is the situation. Of course, we are not really accepting this, and we are trying to have a solution with the United States for a withdrawal of the tariffs, and trying to analyze what are the real interests of the United States so that we can find a common understanding and a framework agreement so that we can have a deeper discussion in the next weeks. The really main important items are the sectorial tariffs, because this is really targeting our industrial development, steel, aluminium, cars, copper, probably pharmaceutical. That are the main products the European Union is exporting to the United States. We now are in negotiations for around about 3 weeks. And I see that there might be a corridor for some understandings in the tariff situation on steel, on cars, and of course also regarding some possible exceptions from the baseline tariffs. But still, there are 2 main issues which are under discussion. If we would have such a framework agreement ready, what does this mean for the time we are negotiating the details? In our understanding, this should lead also to a reduction, significant reduction of tariffs until we have the final deal ready. This is not committed by the United States so far. And the second item is that we want to have a standstill clause so that we have a, let's say, final package and we are not forced with another tariff or whatever kind of measures. You know, in this beautiful tax bill, there were also some additional tax measures possible in the first draft against the European Union. This is gone, luckily, but nevertheless, nobody knows what in the mind of some people of the administration of President Trump will come. So we need a final package, a standstill clause. And this is also not given by the United States at the moment. This is more or less a state of the play. We would like to have an understanding quite soon, because these sectorial tariffs are really harming us. And you know, we have our countermeasures ready, the first stage, which will come automatically into force on the 14th of July. So now it's really time to find an understanding. And even Mr. Trump, he said yesterday that the EU was very tough, but now they are being very nice to us. So this perhaps means that he is now willing to go for another agreement. Even, as Mr. Trump said, we are, the European Union, is in many aspects a lot worse than China. So this is the category where we are in. And of course, this is not really a friendly exercise. By the way, also the letters President Trump sent to 16 countries worldwide are not really friendly letters, not really diplomatic letters. This is really the speech of power and not the speech of partnership. And I hope that we can go ahead with a different understanding of partnership in a world where we need really more understanding and more partnership. And I hope that at the end of the day, we can also reach an understanding that we should go ahead with a system which is respecting the multilateral trading system. And I hope that we can also reach a deal with the United States which is in line with the WTO rules. This is also a key requirement from the International Trade Committee of the European Parliament.
Thank you. Now the floor is open for your questions. I see a question over there. Please state your name and your media, and then you ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Leah from Agence Europe. I have a question on the potential agreement, which would be based on a 10% tariff. And you mentioned there could be exemptions in some small exemptions in some sectors. Saying that we have this kind of agreement in the next days, and considering that the formula is applied already, not waiting for the final agreement, do you think that the EU should already apply its first batch of countermeasures and even the second one while we're still negotiating? Because we would be still in an asymmetric situation with a 10% tariff. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to look to the package. So, of course, first of all, a deal is an understanding on both sides. It's not a dictate from one side. And there are also, if we will get a letter with some offers from the United States, we have to discuss if we accept this. So that's also another part of a partnership in negotiation. And secondly, we have to really look to a possible outcome. And of course, in our understanding, these baseline tariffs are unjustified. And even probably we will get some exemptions like aircraft or aircraft parts, like alcoholic beverage and perhaps some other products, so that the volume will be volume in euro will be significantly reduced. So it's not 10%, which will stay as it is. But nevertheless, also the rest are unjustified, and we have to reflect how to react on that.
There was another question over there.
Guten Morgen, Herr Lange. Oliver Neuen von Politico hier. Ich hatte zwei kurze Fragen. Und zwar einerseits würde mich interessieren, jetzt hat die EU ja bis zum 1. August Zeit, noch ein bisschen weiter zu verhandeln. Sollte man denn diese Frist jetzt noch besser nutzen oder sich möglichst schnell auf einen Deal auch einigen? Und die zweite Frage wäre in Bezug auf diese 10%igen Universalzölle, wo Sie ja schon angesprochen haben, dass sie zum größten Teil ja bleiben werden. Gestern hat Ihr Kollege Herr Weber hier gesagt, dass man da auf jeden Fall Reziprozität herstellen sollte. Also vielleicht nicht unbedingt mit Gegenmaßnahmen, aber er hat zum Beispiel die Digitalsteuer genannt, wo man dagegen steuern könnte. Wie sehen Sie das? Es ist ja doch ein gewisses Missverhältnis dann da, wenn diese 10%igen Zölle kommen sollten. Vielen Dank.
Ja, für mich ist diese Verlängerung der Baseline-Tariffs keine Atempause, weil 10% ist nicht schön, aber ist nicht das zentrale Problem im Moment, zumal der Dollar ja auch an Wert verliert. Das zentrale Problem sind die sektorellen Zölle. Und ich habe Stahl genannt, ich habe Autos genannt. Auto ist natürlich... Und was jetzt im Raum steht, er hat ja nun 50% auf Kupfer genannt und vielleicht 200% auf Pharmaceuticals, auf Arzneimittel und nachgelagerte Bereiche. Die Europäische Union exportiert im Wesentlichen in 3 Sektoren: Autos, Maschinenbau und Pharma. Und deswegen werden wir davon besonders getroffen. Und deswegen ist für mich das auch kein Aufschub, sondern wir müssen schnell zu einem Ergebnis kommen und einem finalen Ergebnis. Und der zweite Teil war nochmal.
Im Grunde haben Sie es schon beantwortet. Es ging um die 10% und inwieweit man es stehen lassen sollte oder ob es da Gegenmaßnahmen auch geben sollte, wie zum Beispiel Digitalsteuer.
Das muss man entscheiden, was man macht. Wir haben ja 3 Stufen von Gegenmaßnahmen. Wir haben Zölle auf amerikanische Produkte und da haben wir die erste Liste fertig. Und die, wenn wir das nicht ändern, tritt automatisch am 14. Juli in Kraft. Die zweite Stufe ist, zu gucken, ob man Abgaben auf Exporte in die USA erhebt. Da ist angedacht zum Beispiel auf Metallschrott. Die USA haben nur oder fast nur Elektrostahlöfen und die brauchen Schrott und importieren eine ganze Menge aus der Europäischen Union, wobei wir für unsere Stahlproduktion eigentlich auch den Schrott brauchen. Also insofern wäre das nicht eine Schädigung von uns, aber wir könnten die USA damit stärker unter Druck setzen. Und die dritte Eskalationsstufe wäre in der Tat, im Dienstleistungsbereich auch was zu machen. Der ist bisher ausgenommen. Digitalsteuer ist eine schwierige Operation. Eine Steuer einzuführen, würde ich auch nicht als handelsdefensives Instrument nehmen, sondern Steuer ist eine andere Kategorie, andere Wertigkeit. Außerdem bedarf das der Einstimmigkeit im Ministerrat. Und ich glaube nicht, dass wir im Moment eine Einstimmigkeit bei Steuern bekommen. Aber man kann natürlich eine Abgabe auf Umsätze oder Kundenvolumen einführen, um zum Beispiel die Verwaltung damit zu finanzieren. Und das wäre die dritte Eskalationsstufe. Aber erstmal wollen wir eine Verhandlungslösung haben.
Any other questions?
Christian Feld, ARD German Television. Mr. Lange, I was wondering if you're hearing anything from the European negotiation team about this potential letter. Do they have any indication about content in that letter? And is it in line with the European ideas?
Of course, we know an offer from the United States some days ago. And I assume that such a letter would be based on on the offer and on the talks. And as I quoted President Trump, he is a little bit more satisfied about the possibility to negotiate with the European Union than before. But of course, and this is also a little bit not easy to understand for Europeans which are used to live in a democratic system where also our countermeasures are based on a democratic process. With stakeholder consultation for this first list, we had 660 intervention from stakeholders, and then the discussion with the member states, and then the European Union is deciding. So in the United States, only one person is deciding. And I have no clue what he is deciding on this potential letter to the European Union.
Someone else? Are there any questions online? Please raise your hand if that's the case. Not immediately. I go back to the room. No one? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Lange.
Pleasure.